Alrighty, here we are, episode 1 of Running Off the Weight, my journey to 170 and a half. So I guess the question you probably have is, what does that mean? Well, about 4 years ago, I was 326 pounds. And I only say 326 because that's what the scale said, I believe about a week and a half, 2 weeks into the process. I know I weighed more than that, because in the week and a half or 2 weeks, I definitely lost some weight. That's the day that I checked in with weight management and really started my journey. So, why am I doing this? Well, it's actually for 2 reasons. It's maybe to help you. I don't know, I know along my journey, I've had many people ask me questions, and many people wonder what it took for me to lose the weight. Obviously, everybody's different. Your journey may be different, but I can tell you what worked for me, and what worked for me is hopefully going to help you too. Now, is it easy? Is the process simple? Can we just flip a switch and everything happens? No, it obviously took me 4 years. And do you think that I didn't have tons, and I mean tons, of truly moments of failure? And those moments of failure may have been mentally, physically. Who knows? There's so many stories that I have to tell, and so that's the reason I've decided to put this series together. I have no idea how long it's going to be. We're going to just continue on and play around with it. So the majority of the way that I lost weight was through running and diet and exercise, basically. And there was some help, and we're going to talk about that. There's a lot of misconceptions about things, and so I'm not going to delve too much into that right now, but maybe we'll just keep you watching. First of all, one of the most important things that I want to talk about is liking and subscribing to this channel. Because let's be honest, I want this to be a series. I want you to continue to follow along. And if you're not doing that because you didn't see that I have a new episode posted, how in the world are you going to continue to find me? So I think that I'm going to be a little bit entertaining along the way. I'm going to try to keep things light and fun. Sometimes we'll get into some more serious subjects, but I'm just going to be honest with you. There's a lot to talk about on this subject. So, how did we get here? It's a complicated scenario. People will wonder if I was skinny growing up and then, gained weight over the years, recently and then lost a bunch of weight. And that's not true. I've actually been heavy the majority of my life. But I actually belong to a very exclusive club, and I want to let you in on that. The exclusive club is that I have been a 2-time loser. Back when I think I was 21 or 20, something like that. I decided that I had had enough of being, I think I was probably 280 pounds back then. And I went and lost a bunch of weight. I lost actually, I think it was around 120 pounds or something. I got down to 178 pounds. I do remember that number. And during that journey, on the way down, so I had to be over 21, I decided that I was going to quit drinking, try to meet my goal, and then I would allow myself to have drinks afterwards. And drink I did when I got to that level. So I think that one of my barriers was the drinking, because usually along with drinking comes eating. And I definitely would binge eat whenever I was drinking at night. And then before you go to bed, everybody loved to stop at Taco Bell and stuff like that. So that definitely was one of the barriers that I ran into. I definitely was overweight the majority of my life. That series of events where I lost that weight, I did maintain somewhat of a lower weight for maybe a year. But it was definitely, I gained a lot of that back and was well over the 200. I would say I'd probably stayed around 225 pounds for a while and then just slowly crept back up. So, yes, I've been heavy my whole life. I just like to eat. I loved to drink. I loved to eat and drink. It was just 2 passions for me. I think the majority of us can relate to that. You wouldn't be watching this if not. So how did the next episode of weight loss start? I can tell you there was a great sickness going on approximately 4 years ago, and we'll just leave it at that. And our lives were in excess. Everybody was off work. The alcohol was flowing, the food was getting eaten, and it was good times, to be honest with you. There was a lot going on in the world, but individually, most people who were healthy were having a good time, enjoying their time off of work. I was no exception to that. We had a lot of drink, a lot of food, and I soon found myself to be significantly higher than when it started. And so I just decided that it was time. Those things that were, the people that were being affected by this were, we came from, my wife is a nurse and I used to be a surgical tech, so we still had lots of contacts at the hospital, and we found that the majority of the people who were getting sick were obese. A lot of them had comorbidity factors, but for the most part, it was just being overweight. Older people, it wasn't affecting the younger, healthier people, but it was definitely causing some havoc with middle-aged people like me who were overweight. So I didn't have an exact number on that scale, but I decided how I was going to lose weight was I was just going to start running. Well, how do you start running when you're well over 320 pounds? You just do. You know that you can't run very far. And I remember that first time that I went out to do it, I knew that I was going to be embarrassed. And I don't get embarrassed very often. I just didn't want the people in the neighborhood seeing that I was trying to be healthier. And then, typically a diet only lasts so long, and then you have to explain why. So I just decided that I was going to run at night. It seemed like it made sense to me. I think I shot for 1 mile right in the beginning. And by a mile, I don't mean run for a mile. I mean a mile total distance. And I probably started running 150, I don't know, maybe a little bit further than that, feet at a time. And then I would walk, and then I would run, then I would walk. But in the end, I did my loop of what I assumed was a mile at the time. And I considered it a success. And it was December. And so it was cold, December to January. It was freezing out, so I, would dress up and do my thing. I probably did it 5 days a week that I would complete this, and as I would feel that I would get better, I would, continue to add on the mileage or the distance that I would run. I wanted to keep that mile, but the goal was to get to the point where I could run a full mile without stopping. So what became a journey as I wanted to lose weight also became a health and fitness journey. So to lose weight, the majority of the people need to implement some kind of exercise program. And for me, that meant doing the running, but also going to what is called weight management. So weight management, in my opinion, has been truly the key to my success. Because I need accountability. And I made the decision from day one when I went to weight management that no matter if it was a success that month or if it was a failure that month, I was going to show up. I was not canceling that appointment. I was not going to be that guy who said, oh my gosh, the weight is going to be horrible this month. I'm just not going. Because I know I value their time, and I also wanted to hold myself accountable because I knew that I couldn't continuously be successful every single month and have everything perfect. So I decided that was going to be my thing. I was going to go no matter what. So we'll talk a lot about the journey over the 4 years that I've had this weight loss going. But for right now, I just want to kind of keep this a little bit shorter because I could talk for hours. I really want to talk about what my goals are for this content that I'm creating. So just because I met my weight goals doesn't mean that I've met my fitness goals. I've added weightlifting into my training more recently within the last 6 months. I've also added stretching into my routine. And January is really my month off, I'll just call it, of running because all the races are done for the year pretty much. There's some during the winter, but very few. And so it just gives me that time to just basically let my body heal from pushing it, and also just lets me have a little bit of time off. And I still run, I still do weights, but for the most part, I just kind of take it easy. And we are February 1st right now, and so it's time for me to kick it back up. Okay, my goals this year are several. I want to pace a 5 and a 10K at under 7 minutes a mile. So I'm going to be 50 this year. This is going to be my year that I want to PR in everything that I've done for the last 4 years. But that is a big goal of mine, is I want to get faster. I want to get faster in the shorter races. I also want to get faster in the longer races. Half marathon. What is the title of my little YouTube channel? It's 170 and a half. So when I started this so long ago, I started an Instagram page, and I called it hashtag 170 and a half. And the goal of that is I wanted to hit 170 pounds, and I wanted to run a half marathon. So that is coming up. So part of this is going to be the journey to see how fast that I can change my last time to what it is going to be when I only weigh 170 pounds. I believe the last half marathon that I ran, I may have been at 210, so I'm going to be 40 pounds down from what I did. And I think that my time was around, my PR was around 147, something like that. So I'm hoping for a significant difference. My goal, I've set the time for 1 hour and 40 minutes. So it's a pretty lofty goal. So is the 5 and 10K goal. But what good is a goal if you can't set something that you're shooting to achieve? And then the last thing is completing a marathon. And when I say completing a marathon, I've tried a marathon, and I would consider that I greatly didn't achieve the finish of a marathon, even though I crossed the finish line, because of the fact that for the last 6 miles, I was cashed out. Mile 19 to mile 20, things started hurting really, really bad. And I was leaning against telephone poles, stretching out. And I mean, I crossed the finish line, and to me, it was a horrible time, but to the average person, to complete a marathon in, I think it was 4 hours and 17 minutes, is probably a good thing. I was so upset that I didn't do that 4-hour time frame that I had. I mean, when you train for a marathon, you're talking about 6 months of your life. And I mean, it is a lot of training, and it is a lot of mental stress and a lot of pain. And so because I spent so much time doing it and didn't get my goals, it just sucked. I was not happy with it. Didn't even really tell a lot of people that I ran it afterwards, even though I had this great build up to it on Facebook. So my thing is, I definitely want to do it again. I'm 50 in August, so I'll set my date for the marathon for after August, and so I'll run it this fall. But my goal for this channel is kind of a little twist. I want to see if I can make a successful YouTube channel in 90 days. And what do I mean by successful? Obviously, I want people to watch it. Obviously, I want to get as many subscribers that I can and get the watch hours. But I've been playing around with a YouTube channel and got a little bit of ADD, and I just kept throwing a whole bunch of stuff in it. So I'm dedicating this specific channel to just this running and health and fitness and weight loss. So I'm studying the YouTube algorithms and all of the things that go along with it, and doing lots of video watching to see what other people have had success with. And I think that I'm just screwing things up because I'm throwing too much content. But in the reality, all it was doing was trying to teach me how to use a camera, how to do all of these things. And so it was successful in that, but I just think that I have too much going on. So I'm gonna keep this strictly health and fitness. Goals. So many of us did the New Year's resolutions. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions anymore, and the reason being is because every resolution was made to be broken. But goals, you can fail along the way, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's all a part of the process, and it makes It makes success so much more exciting whenever you actually had failure and you achieve success. So I just say call it a goal, because even if you fall off the wagon, whether it's, anything that you chose, I don't want to drink, I don't want to smoke, I don't want to weigh this much anymore. If you have a point where you fall off, I want you to get back on, because let's be honest, so many of us have had failure in our life. We want to have a reason to continue to go. And for me, my ultimate goal is to be around longer for my kids. And not only to be around longer, but to be around longer in a healthy state where I'm not just living, I'm actually living. So that is the big thing for me, is when I reach 70 years old, I still want to be able to run in a race. I don't want to be sitting on the couch or struggle to go up and down the stairs. So this is my lifelong goal, to try to get healthier so that I can continue to live a productive life and have fun. I want to travel, I want to do things. So if I'm, confined to a wheelchair or using a walker, those things aren't going to get done. And let's admit it, we all work way too much to not enjoy our retirement. So I want you to set goals. I've got these goals, I've got them written down, I've got the times written down. That's a huge part of what I'm doing. So I want you to write them down. You're gonna forget, if you don't have this in front of you, if you have a special place, whether it's on the refrigerator, whether it's in your office, wherever it is, I want you to write down your goals. And you're gonna have goals that are very lofty, and you're gonna have simple goals. Start with the simple goals. Something you can do in a week. If that's walk around the yard, walk around the block, I don't care what it is. Something to get you moving, something to get you excited about the next one. And, it may be running, I don't know. I don't particularly like running, as bizarre as that is. It's simply for the weight loss, but the one thing that I love is competition. And so running has lit a fire inside of me on improving my time from race to race, to making myself better, to making myself faster than I was before. And I'll admit, I do compete mentally with other runners because I watch their times, and I obviously typically race the same people, but it's really about beating myself. And that's the cool thing about running. So when you get in a group of thousands of people that are all running this race, it's mind-blowing. Like the adrenaline that rushes through your veins. And as a almost 50-year-old guy, seems weird that competition is exciting, but it is. I never really played sports in high school. I never really got into that kind of stuff, but it's fun now. And so that's what really drives me, is that's why I run tons of races, because that's what I enjoy. And the last two things that I'm going to set goals for, obviously I want to maintain my weight. My lowest 168 came right before Christmas. We hosted a big Christmas, so there was food everywhere. So I did overeat, and so I'm probably up, close to the 180 point, but I also am not running. Like, I was putting in lots of mileage in November, December, and so I'm also not running very much, so it's pretty normal for that 10-pound fluctuation to happen. And so I definitely want to maintain the weight. I want to get back to my under the 170, and I had gotten to the point where I was crazy lean, which is great for runners. I know a lot of people want to build muscle, and I want to build muscle, but I want to build strength and core rather than bulk. Obviously, bulk doesn't help you on long runs, so obtaining that is not my goal. But when I was 168, I had a DEXA scan done, and we'll talk about that in a different episode, but I was at 13.6% body fat, and I never really noticed that I was that lean until I had my son take some photos while I was doing a workout, and I was like, yeah, that kind of surprised me. I carry my weight low, I always have, my butt and my thighs, so it's not nearly as noticeable when you see me without a shirt off. And I'm gonna do a quick view of that, just because I want to set the bar for where I wanna be in 90 days, because this is really the getting started, and I wanna hit the 90-day goal of really leaning out, getting faster, and I would like to be at 10% body fat for the big races this year, so that is definitely a goal. And So the 90 days or even longer is going to give you a view. I'll be able to show what I started with and where I ended. All right, so this is what we're starting with. Like I said, I'm probably right around 180 right now. And I would assume my body fat percentage is probably up closer to the 15 mark right now. Not for sure 100%. And the one thing that I know that I'm going to get questions on right away is, okay, you just lost, I don't know, 150 pounds, something like that. How in the world do you not have loose and hangy skin? Well, that's kind of twofold. Number one, when I lost my weight the first time, I said that I've lost over 100 pounds. I actually did have a tummy tuck. That was, I'm trying to remember, maybe I was 23, 22, something like that. So this is nothing that's happened recently. This is something from a long, long time ago. So this is going to be of interest to people who are considering some kind of surgery after they would lose weight. How does it look 20 years from now? Well, this is how it looks for me. And it's remarkably good. Now, I will say I was a little concerned on the way down. And as I was losing weight, I had very saggy skin in some areas. Number one, under the arms. I had it here in the chest area, which I still have a lot there, but it's better than it was. The bizarre thing is, I thought all this, the skin was going to continue to sag. But one thing that I think they have a misconception about is that your skin has no elasticity. And I've kind of found that as my body fat percentage went down, that because the body fat is not there to weigh down the skin, that it kind of shrank up. And so I'm more than impressed with the results. So here's the back and the front. Now, the thighs, the butt, I've got tons of saggy skin, and I don't know that I'm ever going to get rid of that, but I'm going to continue to work to try to build that muscle and lose as much fat as I can in those areas, and we'll see. Maybe that will help firm up also. So I did get to the point where I had a really nice six-pack, and I have some of those muscles right now, but nothing like I did. So I'm going to really work on that area. I do lots of sit-ups when I'm really hitting it hard. So I definitely want to get to that point where I'm doing that again hard and start working on some different core exercises that are going to build this muscle. So that is really going to be it for this episode. We just wanted to do a basics, let everybody see where we're starting, and I want you to get excited and I want you to follow along. But the biggest thing, you have to like and subscribe to this channel so you can continue to get updates. I also want you to comment. I also want you to tell me what did or didn't work for you. Because my ultimate goal here is, my biggest thing, I want to continue to maintain. I don't ever want to go back to where I was. I do never want to see a 200 on that scale again, because that is a failure for me. From the standpoint of, I want to be healthy, I want to live longer, and I think that you do too, or you wouldn't be watching this. So stay tuned to the next episode. I'm gonna number the episodes, so they're gonna be in sequential order in any of the shorts that I do. I'm gonna try to refer to the episode that belongs to. So hopefully that you guys can follow along, because I know how many times you get on TikTok or all these other different things and you see this short and you're like, oh, I wanna go check that out. And then you go to the person's page and you're like, was that video like 4 years ago? I'm not going to search through 700 videos and you just immediately leave. I want you to easily be able to go from this one to that one to know what that was referring to. So hopefully you enjoy this. Hopefully I'm entertaining, and hopefully I can keep your interest for a long period of time. And we'll go from here, and until the next one, we'll see you again.